I got mine too.
All right, we are live. Welcome to the Purple Friday show, live from the hammock. We're back, obviously, after the Ravens streak is finally ended by the Washington Commanders. I will say, I didn't expect on Facebook because I have coworkers and family members that are Commanders fans. I didn't expect the trash talk. I was like, "Are you serious? Are y'all really hype about this ending in the streak? Y'all really hype about this?" Like I heard no Ravens fan complaining. All I saw. I think Travis, I saw yours. It was like, "Oh, the season's over now. Fire everyone. The streak is over. Our season's done now. We're not gonna make the Super Bowl." I was like, but yeah, all the Ravens fans are being sarcastic. Like, yeah, we know it doesn't matter. Like, it wasn't a thing until last year. Everybody made, oh yeah, the Ravens have won 19 games or in a row. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. Great, okay. In the preseason. And touch on that real quick. I mean, I think we all saw the Harbaugh presser after the fact, and he was like, a lot of people, he kind of got on some of the people, including myself, that was like, this name is not important. I will go out there and say that. But, from the standpoint of, he is a professional football coach. And, I think sometimes as fans, we lose sight of sometimes the fact that these guys are fighting for their lives, their livelihood. A lot of these guys, especially if they weren't drafted in the top 3 rounds, if you were drafted even 5th, 6th, 7th round, you're still fighting for a spot here. We saw, what was it? The guy we drafted from Ohio State, was it a year or two ago? Didn't even make the team. I think we traded him before the season even started. Like, we drafted him, cornerback. I can't remember. We traded him to the Patriots. I can't remember his name now.
Oh yeah.
We traded him to the Patriots. Season before the season even started. Like, we traded him to the Patriots. So a lot of these guys were fighting for their lives out there. So I like the response that Harbaugh had. It wasn't about him really caring about the record. It was more about the guys in the building and caring about, making sure that we understand the gravity of the situation. Because let's be real, as of this point right now, the EDC and Harbaugh and all of them are making the roster decisions like now. Like, guys are going to start getting cut soon. Like, we're going to start seeing. I mean, they've already cut some guys to make room for. I think Clowney came in, so they've already. I think guy we were praising, the wide receiver Swan. I think he got cut. So there's some guys that are going to get. They're going to get that turn in your tablet, turn in your playbook call this week. Yeah. So I don't take that lightly, but we'll get into the game later. But what do you guys think about the streak ending and starting a new streak for the Ravens? We go 25 games this time, right? Let's go 25.
I'm cool on the streaks. I'm glad it is over, but I'm actually I am, hindsight 2020. I am kind of like just proud of the streak, because not really just for winning all those games, because obviously the wins and the losses in the preseason, that's the part that doesn't matter, is the wins and the losses. Like, we don't really care who's winning the game and who's losing the game. But I am proud that it just shows that the depth. I mean, the people, the guys that we have on our squad year in and year out, it just shows to their work ethic, and just a matter of them just fighting for their lives, pretty much. I mean, this game is, and I felt Harbaugh when he was talking. I mean, people, joke about preseason not meaning anything, and yes, the wins and losses don't mean anything, but we're essentially talking about a job interview. It's like, if you had a job interview for whatever company you're working for, you wouldn't dare say that that's not important, because that's going to be determined if you lock that job down or if they pass on you and move on with somebody else. So essentially, this is a 3-week job interview for those guys who are fighting for roster spots, who are fighting for being a starter, being a second string, being the third teamer. Like, they're fighting for their well-being, pretty much. They're fighting to feed their families and stuff. So it's definitely significant. It's definitely something I think that the organization should be proud of, because, like I said, it just speaks to so many more things than just the game itself. So with that being said, I am glad that it's over, because as much as I was missing football and I wanted to be back, that game was way too stressful. The other night.
Yeah, it's too close, man.
Very, very
When I was
stressful.
watching it, I found myself kind of like trying to trick myself into like not caring. I'm like, oh, come on, Trey. This ain't even week 1 yet. Like, but then the game like kind of just drew you in a little bit because they were battling. And like that's even for Washington and the Ravens, like I like what I seen from both sides. Like it was an all-out battle. It felt like a regular season game, and I wasn't as stressed, but I was almost as stressed if we was watching a regular season game. It was actually kind of crazy. So I can appreciate that. I mean, that's the feeling that I probably would never have with any other sport before the regular season starts. And I mean, if that's what preseason is going to turn into, I mean, I'm here to see it. I mean, you're just making the jobs of our front office even more difficult trying to make these decisions because you just see how these guys are fighting throughout the game, whether they fared out well or whether they didn't have such a great game. You can't argue what the effort was, and I think that's what the preseason is for, just to see, who's going to be down, who's going to be riding with you guys, who's going to, when it gets thick, like who's going to put in that extra gear to try to get you guys over the pause, get you guys over the hump, when it counts. So yeah, I'm glad the streak is over just because we got other things to focus on, obviously, but that was all the national media's fault anyway. I don't think we ever thought of ourselves, higher than the next organization just because we was on a preseason streak. I blame that on the national media, but it was fun while it lasted. But it's time to get back to business.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Like, I don't know if we cared about the streak. I don't think it was ever a thing. We tried to downplay it for years. It was totally a media thing, but I can't help but love like the culture we had during that streak. Like Harbaugh was saying, guys come in here, they fight. It really means something to be a Raven and make this team. So I love how like guys fought. That game was probably one of the best preseason games I've seen as far as the effort, some of the execution. Like usually preseason game is just so cringe to watch. But we saw some great football out there. Even though there was a lot of mistakes, and I know we were griping about it in the chat. But it's just great to see that, even guys that may not make the team or may just make the practice squad, may never see a NFL game this regular season, were out there just fighting. And that's what I take from this. Like, I don't care about these commandeers, commanders, commandos, whatever you want to call them. They needed this for whatever. They had to play their starters for a half just to be competitive. Like, I don't care about all that. I don't care about the loss. I just care that we were healthy and that we came out there and battled because, I mean, like my post said, man, I don't get down on this because we had a bunch of second string guys, a bunch of guys who may not be on this team come the regular season, maybe on other teams competing and battling, and they took those first stringers to the limit for the Redskins. Maybe that says a lot about the Redskins and how they're annually terrible, annually trash, but I just like to see the effort from our guys. Some guys really showed out. I know we're getting into that, but streak, no streak, who cares?
Yeah, it was funny. Like I think it was Sarah Ellison on Twitter, who I follow, made a great point about like the Commanders players, like, oh, we don't care about the streak when like they were talking trash about it all week. Cosme, the offensive lineman, did the gritty after they scored the first touchdown. The kicker who made the game-winning field goal put up the L after kicking the game-winning field goal. So it was like, so for a game that you guys didn't care about, you seem to care a lot about the game. So again, they have a new ownership. Josh Harris made that weird handshake to Joe Buck. Like, I could understand if he was like being introduced, like it's the first time you see him on camera, like, oh, handshake, okay. Joe Buck is talking midway. He's been on for like 5 or 6 minutes. Why are you shaking his hand? I'm just assuming Josh Harris not used to being on camera. Like I'm just gonna chalk up to that. Like he's just not used to being on camera. So it is what it is. But we'll get into the game later. But first we'll Before we get into that, I want to send congratulations to Sha'Carri Richardson winning the 100-meter dash at the World Championships. From the ninth lane. From the ninth lane. Like she's at the she had all I don't know why they put her in the ninth lane because she had already had broken some records even before she even got to that, even in like the preliminaries, like in the previous heats.
Yeah, I think
they put her in the ninth lane
times too.
She put her in the ninth lane, and that acceleration she had at the end, like she just bam.
Smoked them.
Yeah, but I love the pick that she took with was it Fraser Price? I think is the Jamaican runner she's like the best woman runner in Jamaica, like women history. They were apparently the media was making out they had beef with the Jamaican runners and stuff, and they took a picture together after they won, after they got gold, silver, and bronze, and took a picture together. So I love that. I love Sha'Carri's back. Don't ban her this time. Make sure she runs in this Olympics this time. Like don't be pulling that mess. So shout out to Sha'Carri Richardson winning a 100-meter dash. That was actually I watched the event over the weekend. It was good. It was a good event. Did you guys know they did mixed 400 relays?
No,
I saw a clip of that, but I didn't dive deeper. I thought somebody was trolling, and
it's a thing. Apparently, they've been doing it since 2019. Didn't know it's been a mixed.
They were doing it. They weren't really pushing it like
that. They said they had it in the last Olympics, but I don't know if they televised it.
So what is that supposed to be like? How we're gonna? Never mind. I'm not even gonna go with it.
Yeah,
equality.
You won't go.
So the how they're doing mixed. They're doing 2 men, 2 women, and it's like I think it goes the way it started off was man first, or I think it's they have to decide if it's men first or women first. So I think this one it was men first, then the second leg was women. No,
wait. So was it?
Yeah, men first, second leg was women, third leg was men, and the anchor was the feet.
Okay, so it was a relay. It was evenly spread across all the teams.
Yeah, so it was like all men, all women, all men, all women.
Okay,
at the last. So it was just fun. The American racer, like it was going to be tight. The Netherlands runner fell down right at the very end and lost. Apparently, that wasn't the only time. I think they said in the 2,000 meter or whatever, the long ones they did. Same thing happened. Netherlands, right at the very end, she falls, loses the race.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a crazy flash finish.
Yeah, it was a good event. It was a really good event with like the drama and everything that was involved. So, but I've always been a fan of just watching track. I've always been a fan of track and field. So, good prelim to the Olympics coming up. But before we get into the Ravens, so we saw the news I think came out today. This afternoon, Jonathan Taylor has requested a trade from the Colts. We only got a week left before season actually starts. Week or 2 left before the season starts, and apparently he's got 5 suitors. They said they've had teams call in to the Colts to ask to talk about working out a trade for him. I thought it was very interesting considering that Jim Irsay made the statement that he didn't really care. Like running backs aren't really valuable. They don't really care, but yet I think they're asking for a first-round pick for him. So I think it's more of it seems to be a battle between Irsay and Taylor now. Like it's a petty battle. It's very petty right now. I think that Irsay is kind of like, there's no way no one's going to give a first-round pick for Jonathan for a running back. And I think he wants to rub that in his face. Like, I think he wants to, no one's going to trade for you. I'm going to ask for a first, since you think you're worth this amount of money, I'm going to ask for a first round pick. No one's going to trade for you, and you're going to be stuck here. Again, this whole situation in Indianapolis just rubs me the wrong way. If I'm a player for Indianapolis, and I'm decent, there's no way I'm trying to hang around here. It's just no way. It just seems like Jim Irsay is, he's not the only owner that does this kind of thing, that he's making it about himself, making it, I'm the owner, I run the league, you guys don't run this thing. And you're gonna do what I tell you to do, kind of situation. It just rubs me if I'm a player, it just rubs me the wrong. Even if I'm like I said, if I'm on the team and I'm like, if I'm Anthony Richardson, I'm like, do I want to be around here? Like, if I'm good, like if I do what I'm supposed to do, I'll be able to write my own ticket out of here. Like, I don't want to be here. And this is if I'm a player looking for a new deal, like Irsay is gonna step in and try to, bully me and try to get me to stay and then put this out in the open. He's trying to do is embarrass Jonathan Taylor. He's trying to embarrass him. Because he knows no one's going to trade a first-round pick. If he was really trying to trade him, he would be like, we're looking for the best offer available. We're going to take the best offer given to us, and we're going to be willing to move on. That's what teams usually do when a player wants to move on. There's really no way of working out a deal. You're just trying to all right, let's get what we can for him, move on. This just sounds like a slap in the face to Jonathan Taylor and trying to embarrass him and then force him to play. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nasty. I mean, I'm glad they at least still granted him permission to seek a trade, even though the ask might be kind of ridiculous if that first round pick is actually what they're asking. I honestly didn't think even whatever. I didn't think it would be that big of a shot that he was going to have a lot of suitors, but I did see today that at least 6 teams have reached out to try to broker a situation for Jonathan Taylor. So, I mean, that's good that he's getting interest. I just hope that all that interest is going to the NFC because I don't have time for that in AFC nor for or none of that. With the stacked AFC, we already got the quarterbacks to worry about. So I ain't trying to worry about no elite running backs running our way. But yeah, it's just a nasty situation. I mean, hopefully it works out for Jonathan Taylor. I mean, Jim Irsay, he's standing his ground on this one. And like you said, I think he's probably trying to teach him a lesson and put him out there for a ridiculous price to try to maybe see if to make him think that it's possible for him to get out of there. And who knows if he'll even accept an offer. But just for Jonathan Taylor's sake and, the rest of the running backs out there, just hopefully he does work something out because it is kind of a shame. I mean, he's a top running back in his league. It's not like we're talking about a scrub here. So you never know. It might be a team that'll be willing to give that up depending on their situation. But it's just a terrible situation. I mean, we about to hit week 1, and now whatever team he's going to be set back. With whatever the situation may be by being so late in the game, and then them finally giving him permission when we were approaching the 3rd and final preseason game is kind of messed up. But hopefully it works out for him.
Yeah, man, I want to go into this whole spiel about Jim Irsay, probably a racist. This is the slave mentality that these owners have. But I just read the Ravens are linked to Jonathan Taylor as a trade destination, and that offers have been not by the Ravens, but there's 2 offers submitted. The Ravens are one of those teams who are interested in Jonathan Taylor. I just read
J.K. Dobbins. So.
31 minutes. J.K. for J.T.? I don't know how he made this, but it's very interesting that we're connected.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
J.K. got off the podium not even an hour ago. Him and UC are like best friends. So
it's a business, man. It's a business, man. This is.
He said we talk. He said we he has faith that something's gonna get worked out. He said they're good. He literally just got off the podium and said this. He was probably in the best mood I've seen him.
Since last year, right?
Yeah.
Well, you saw what happened last year. He went off last year.
Yeah, it was actually one of the best presses I've seen today between him and Bateman. But that's good.
I mean, they both Jonathan Taylor went to Wisconsin and J.K. went to Ohio State. So Big Ten.
Travis, to the fact that you telling me that the Ravens are linked, that's kind of messy.
Crazy.
It's kind of messy to me, man. We got
they've released 4 teams so far that are linked. The Ravens, the Bears, the Rams, the Dolphins.
I get the Dolphins. I get the Bears.
I don't know.
The Rams, I don't know. Yeah, the Rams need a running back too. They needed a running back for the last 3 years. But
because Cam Akers keep getting hurt. So I don't know.
That's
if it's
crazy.
JT, they go for JT, that means we're all in this year.
If they take JK and they will pay JT, JK for JT.
I don't know what to say about that.
Man, this is why I don't have a job in the front office.
Todd Monken probably walked into the front office like, "Yo, you heard about
JT?" He's like, "Let's go get him." He's like, "What?
Yeah.
What do you mean?"
Yeah.
Forget JK. I don't care. He was on the podium today earlier talking about how good things are. Get rid of him. I want JT. Like, all right.
And they haven't paid JK yet, so it's like maybe
that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no contract or anything. I mean,
maybe they're like, if we gotta pay somebody,
we'll pay JT.
But
leading rusher.
But we also have like all these running backs, and they all
like Keaton Mitchell. We still got Gus and Melvin, and who knows? I'm probably on that list. If I look further enough, if I look far enough down that list, I'm probably on that list.
You got on the number 20,
right? I'm on that list. There's a lot of running backs on that roster right now.
We got a lot of great problems this offseason.
That's what I'm saying. It's good problems to have. I'm hoping we'll get into the Keaton Mitchell stuff later, but next we're going to talk about real quick. I just remembered to talk about this, but I don't know if you guys saw this, but apparently Chris Jones, star tackle for, I think he's even a tackle for the Chiefs. Sounds like he's holding out. Based on his Twitter feed or Instagram, whatever it was.
Go get him.
He said that he's sitting out until week 8.
Oh, go get him.
That's what he said. Apparently, he said that there's been no movement on a contract, and he's willing to hold out until week 8. For those who don't know, as long as I think players, if you're holding out, as long as you're playing by week 8, you still get, I think, your contract. I think you're still guaranteed either, I don't know how much percentage wise of the money, but you're still guaranteed money from your contract. If he holds out past week 8, he's not guaranteed anything. Like the year that got, basically that money's kind of wiped out if he were to hold out. So he said he's willing to hold out through week 8.
Chiefs ain't letting that happen. They'll have him gone before they even lose all that money. 8 weeks
now
of production.
Apparently, he tweeted out 9 hours ago, "Thank you, God." That's all he tweeted.
Oh,
thank you, God. That was 9 hours ago. So I don't know if they worked out a deal with him or something. That was 9 hours ago. I would assume that would have come down by now. I would assume maybe they worked out a preliminary, but as far as 7 hours ago, ESPN reported Chris Jones hints he's willing to hold out to week 8 because he reposted week 8 because people were commenting and stuff what he was talking about, and he was like, not until week 8. And it was like, for a Chiefs team that already doesn't have a lot of firepower on defense, and him being the best player, he knows it. That would be a big issue for the Chiefs if he were to hold out.
Yeah.
That they don't have a lot of they got some good guys in the secondary. They said rookies that were rookies last year. But as far as star power is concerned, Chris Jones has been linked to being the next best defensive lineman next to Aaron Donald. I don't know where that it hasn't really. And look, it's across ESPN, but even then, I kind of had to dig for it. It's not really a major story for most of these, sporting networks. Seems to be though. Now, look again. We're not even hit week 1 yet. The only person that really ever did this was Le'Veon Bell. That's the only one that we've ever seen in recent history actually really hold out. We saw Saquon Barkley said he was going to hold out, and then he gave him $1.1 million extra, and he's back in. He's all in. So if Chris Jones is serious, that could be a huge issue for the Chiefs going into this season, putting more pressure on that offense to score. But let's see what said. Patrick Holmes said, "I know how much Chris loves the Chiefs. I just try to stay out of it and tell Chris I love him. We know he's preparing himself. I don't think anyone expected him to be out this long. He's a vital part of his organization."
That ain't good.
No.
That's today?
That was 7 hours ago.
Yeah, that ain't good.
Yeah,
that's the PR response.
Now, if this was like months ago, this was like around when Lamar was negotiating his deal with Baltimore. I'm like, okay, man, you got some time. You got like 2 weeks, man. Not even 2 weeks. Like you got a week and a half. Like, and the season's on. Like,
yeah, I don't.
It's get if he hasn't signed at this point, there's a really good chance he sits out.
Yeah, and I don't know. I can't see the Chiefs letting him sit on the books, for 7 weeks, like with nothing.
Because they can't really replace him. I'm pretty already sure. I'm already sure because they're probably strapped for cash, salary cap wise. I'm already pretty sure about that. So, like, they wouldn't be able to really do anything until after week 8 if he holds out that long. Because I think they owe him. He's 36 million. No, only 7 million against the cap this year. He's 7 million dead cap wise, but cap hit this year is $28 million. That's his cap hit.
Woo!
They paid him $20 million already. They paid him $20 million in cash this year.
This is messy.
Hey,
it's definitely messy.
If he leaves that team, they definitely get a little bit worse. I'll say that.
Yeah. So
they need to figure that out.
But you know what? He is a good trade get because if they've already paid him 20 of the 27, that means the hit to the new team would only be about 7 million.
Yeah, his out is this year. His out is this year. So I mean, they've already.
We're gonna be linked to somebody. If we're gonna be linked to somebody, I'd rather be linked to that.
Yeah, he would definitely upgrade our pass rush.
Yeah. So look, and he's not really. He got $37 million in 2021 for guaranteed cash. That's what he got at signing. So I think he's fine. If he wants to sit out, he can sit out if he wants to. But that's definitely a situation to keep looking at in the next week or two to see what happens. Yeah. Another NFL news real quick. As we saw today, I don't know if it was a huge news over at Fox Sports and FS1 or whatever, but Sam Darnold beats out Trey Lance in San Francisco to be the backup behind Brock Purdy. So not only this is like a double whammy, right? Trey Lance was a first round draft pick for the 49ers not even 2 years ago. Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant. He starts the year, wins a good number of games after they go through Lance and they go through Garoppolo. He gets injured, I think, the divisional playoff game, so he can't play in the NFC Championship game, but they get there. You get into camp, and not only do you not win the starting job, you then lose the backup position to a guy that was barely a backup in Carolina.
Yeah.
Who got traded from the Jets because they didn't want him. Like, now I will say, I don't know Trey Lance's mentality right now. I don't know what he's thinking, but he could be one of those situations where he's like, "Look, man, I'm playing with house money right now. I only played a few games in college. Like the fact that I was even drafted in the first round to begin with is great." So. I don't know what his mentality is right now. Maybe I don't know if he feels like he's been slighted. I don't know if he feels like, maybe I'm okay, whatever the situation is. But I would have to assume now that, we heard last year potentially they could trade Trey Lance. Now that Sam Darnold is going to be the backup, I don't anticipate. Now, look, Brock Purdy is coming off of was it an elbow? He had surgery on his elbow. He couldn't throw on the arm when they had to bring him in during the NFC Championship game. He couldn't even throw the football. That's how bad his elbow was. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what he's going to be like this season coming right out the gate. I would assume that he's gonna that they will probably keep Trey on maybe the practice squad. But do you guys think that maybe could be a team that takes a chance on Trey Lance at this point? Like, especially if you don't give anything up. Like, if you just pull him from the practice, if they put him on the practice squad, then you don't have to give up anything, right? To get him.
Yeah, it's tough now. I mean, to me, the 49ers kind of blew it. they could have traded him last year when it was still kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know about this guy, but somebody probably was still believing in him. But him to lose that second, him to lose that backup QB job, like that's not a good look. And that now it's like alarms. There's alarms up around the league now about, you know what I mean, that's kind of a stain on your jacket right now. I mean, there could be still a team out there in need, or that may not be as confident in their backup quarterback, and it's like, well, Trey Lance will be better than what we got. So I mean, it's possible, but 49ers just kind of blew it on that one. Like they could have got back actual value for him, in a position where they probably would have needed it. Not to say that their roster isn't like, like
They're pretty good. They're
yeah,
stacked.
they're pretty good. I mean, I don't think they've gotten any worse than they were last year. So it's not like they've regressed or anything. But yeah, still, but just hindsight 2020. Like I don't think anybody expected him for Trey Lance to be demoted. And
not this bad.
yeah, not this
Third
bad.
string.
And it's not like it's a. It's not like it's a. They didn't have to announce this right now. Like
No, they didn't have to say
for them
anything.
to confirm this, and we're not even at the third preseason game. Like that's a little weird.
Yeah.
So that's kind of damning to, whatever the expectations were over there, because, the battle, the headline was, is it going to be Trey Lance or Brock Purdy? Like we still didn't know, but the fact that not only do you lose to Brock Purdy, but you even go down another step to Sam Darnold of all people, like that's not the name you want to be backing up.
No.
Like let's be real. To back up the backup is kind of crazy, being a first round draft pick this early in your career. And it's been like, what is this, his third year?
Third year. He's not even through a rookie contract yet.
Yeah, it's just I'm not shocked that he didn't win a starting job, but I am shocked that it's gone the way it's gone at this point. And his best bet is to get up out of there, because it's nothing he can do over there in San Francisco at this point. So his best bet is hopefully somebody will draw some interest, but it's gonna be a long shot.
This is gonna be a big stain for John Lynch.
Yeah.
So you think about it, what they gave up, and if they're not able, if they're not able to get to the Super Bowl, I think it's a big stain, because, like you said, 3 first-round picks. This team is pretty stacked, but there's always depth that could be had, especially when you're making these runs. So those first-round picks look very good if you don't make it to the Super Bowl in these next 2 to 3 years. I mean, for a guy to according to the media, flame out this early is very damning. I don't know where he goes, to be honest. I mean, there's places. I mean, you can go back up in Minnesota. You can back up in Detroit. Come back up with the Ravens. We'll put him on the practice squad. Let him learn a little bit. But it's really tough. Yeah, it's really tough to see like where this guy goes from here, because mentally, I mean, he's probably a wreck. You go from being on top of the world, dating Colin Cowherd's daughter. You getting all of this love from Colin Cowherd, because he was hyping him up when he was dating his daughter.
I didn't know he was dating his daughter.
Hyping Trey Lance.
That's
why he was.
I know that.
That's why he was on. That's why Colin Cowherd never said anything negative about Trey Lance, and why he was rooting for that QB job. Yeah, he doesn't date his daughter. But
you got to report this.
Yeah, so
you got to tell us this stuff, man. I didn't know that.
Man, yeah. So
Cowherd got to report this news now. I wonder how he. I mean, this is still kind of a big headline, so I wonder how he conveyed that to his audience.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I wonder what he's gonna do. I mean, this kid is probably like super drained mentally, but you gotta perform. It's the game. It's the game. It's the business. If you don't show up, you don't show out. If you have terrible games like you did last year, you're gonna be in this position, and to be beat up by Sam Darnold is pretty damning in itself. So hopefully, get a fresh start, really get a chance to develop. Because I don't know if he's gotten a fair shake, partly due to injuries, other stuff, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, 3 first-round picks, that's going to be a lot to recover from. Like you said, I think if Brock Purdy what he was last year, then they kind of get away with it. It's like, oh, we got Brock Purdy, it's fine. But the Brock Purdy thing actually didn't never happen. Then it's like you wasted 3 first-round draft picks on this dude, and he's not even starting. That's another thing. Also, I just pulled up. So at the end of last year, around November, apparently there was video that came up about Trey Lance at a strip club while he was dating Colin Cowherd's daughter. Apparently, Cowherd did not appreciate said video of Trey Lance throwing money at strippers while he was dating his daughter.
I mean,
So there's a certain thing, right, mentally, right, as an athlete, right, young athlete, don't date the daughters of guys that have platforms. Just don't. Stay away from them. I don't care how fine she is. Stay away from them. Because guess what? The minute you mess up, you're the first person they're going to talk about. And they're going to ruin your stock and all that other stuff. Because whether we want to admit it or not, these guys' words do carry some weight. However fair or not that is. Don't date the daughters of Stephen A. Smith. If he has any, I don't know if he has any children. I don't know. Stephen A. Smith. Any of these talking heads, stay away from them. Just don't. Don't give them any ammo. Just don't. So, but yeah, Trey Lance, look, now apparently he was absent from practice today when they announced it. He wasn't there. So I don't know if something is already in the works to maybe move him somewhere at this point. Like you said, like we've said before, I think the show started, like they're going to have to, teams are getting ready to make the roster decision soon about who they're keeping on a 53-man roster. And, you're not, I don't think, they did after COVID. Now you're allowed to have that emergency third quarterback now on the roster, if, something happens. But I don't think I don't know the 49 situation is if there's other guys they want to keep. I wouldn't, if they're going to trade him, they probably need to keep him on the roster. Here's the practice squad. They don't got to trade him. The teams don't got to trade anything. They just pick him on the waiver wire and just get him for nothing.
Yeah.
So I would assume he probably makes the roster as at least the third, whatever emergency quarterback designation that may be, and maybe they'll try to work out a trade for him then. But at this point, teams are probably it's tough for him though at this point, right? Because guys are already in camp. The teams already have their quarterback, 3 or 4 quarterbacks in camp right now. And they got their guys that they've seen work in their offense, know the system. And if you bring Trey for a guy to Trey Lance, you're starting from square one all over again. So it's like, if something happens to your guy, or you're sure that Trey's going to be ready to go in as a backup if he doesn't really know the lingo, he doesn't know the culture of the team and the schemes, and doesn't have any rapport with anybody yet. Like, at least guys like, especially here, like Tyler Huntley and Josh Johnson and Anthony Brown have rapport with the wide receivers because they've been here since camp started. Trey Lance if he goes anywhere, he doesn't know any of those guys. So he's in a bad spot right now. Like, if they do trade for him, he probably won't be expected to do much of anything this season at all. It's like another wasted year for Trey Lance. So it just kind of sucks for him. But we'll see again. And maybe a situation like maybe like a Jared Goff kind of thing. Like, he just kind of injuries and just never really given a shot. And hopefully someone actually sees the value in him and maybe moves on. But it just goes, like you said, like you guys said, it just goes to show how quick you go from draft night to reality. 3 years later, and you're the third string quarterback on the team that drafted you in the first round. So
it's crazy.
On to the next story real quick. Jim Harbaugh self-imposed suspension. So for those that have been following this Michigan fiasco, the NCAA apparently has been investigating University of Michigan and Jim Harbaugh for recruiting violations apparently that happened during the COVID season during 2020. It apparently was over some he bought some players some food, whatever during the recruiting process, which is again illegal. Apparently, you're not supposed to buy them anything for the players because they got the company card and they got to turn in your receipts and stuff. And apparently, he bought them some food, and they were investigating it, and they were like, NCAA is, their season starts week 0 is this week. Like Navy plays Notre Dame this Saturday in Ireland, so I think it officially starts for college football this week. If Michigan had waited for the NCAA to conclude their investigation, this could have gone into week 4, week 5, week 6 when the games start really mattering. Like the matter because those first 3-4 weeks are like out of conference. Those are those teams they play. They play like Appalachian State. They'll play Troy University and Citadel and those schools. To kind of get ready and stuff before they start playing their conference schedule. If they had waited for the NCAA to hand down their suspension, they would be getting in the Big Ten schedule and really affecting Michigan football. And a lot of people have been getting on the NCAA about this. And not just this, but previous suspensions too. With all the movement, we talked about this a couple episodes ago, with all the movement we've now seen with all these colleges moving conferences, and they're doing this and NIL money now and involved in college football. This is really the only avenue the NCAA has left to impose its will on any college at this point. Because colleges, we can pay players now. We can give them sponsorship. We can work. We don't have to give them money outright, but we can work with car dealerships and other corporations to give us money so that we can give them, the football players, said money. They just said one of the quarterbacks, I think for I can't remember what the quarterback now is, but he got to deal with Beats by Dre. He got to deal with Beats, and he just gifted his whole team with new headphones. He had some NIL money for that. So with the NIL money now and these conferences pretty much governing themselves, where does the NCAA fit in here? I think, if in my opinion, I feel like the NCAA, as far as football is concerned, has become obsolete. These college football conferences are doing things on their own now. Michigan has said, fine, we'll suspend Harbaugh for 3 games, for the first 3 games. We're going to win we'll win those games by 40 points easy. We don't care. We're not going to wait for you guys to start affecting our actual record to conclude your investigation. We saw the receipts. We we're getting on him for, again, 3 years ago for buying food for recruits. Okay, we're going to do this ourselves. But again, I think this was the NCAA's way of trying to hold the other college football teams hostage. We're going to impose our suspension when we feel like imposing it, instead of being just impose this. If you're going to suspend them, to suspend them. Because remember, it came down 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. We're going to suspend them for 3 games. Then they took it away. Well, what the hell is going on? What? That was the first 3 games. No, we still got to investigate more. They're like, get y'all, man. Well, he's not coaching the first 3 games. So you guys come back to us and it's 3 games. He already served a suspension. What now? So this could be the. They've already talked about some of these presidents for these conferences have already talked amongst each other, working out deals and stuff like that about kind of creating their own governing body, outside the NCAA, not worrying about the NCAA as a whole. So I don't know how it's going to affect, volleyball and basketball and baseball and stuff like that. But as far as college football is concerned, it sounds like these conference presidents are ready and willing at this point to be done with the NCAA.
Yeah. It's very strange. It's all political and for whatever ulterior motives that they have. Knowing the season, like you said, is about to begin. My question is, because I'm not sure, I haven't really been following it as much, but since it's a self-imposed suspension, can the NCAA come back and be like, no, we want 5 games? They can come back at any point during the season and say, oh, by the way, 3 games wasn't enough. After our investigation is actually concluded, we actually think that you deserve 5 games for that.
And I think at this point, because they already imposed the 3-game suspension beforehand, it'd be really weird for them to come back and say, oh, now we're going to give you 5 or 6 games. Wait a minute. What are you doing?
But they didn't really ask them, though. So, it's self-imposed. So, they took it up. The team took it upon themselves to do it. So, that's independent. Isn't that independent of what the NCAA decides either way?
But I also think it's Michigan. It's Michigan football. Like if this was like UCF or if this was like Bowling Green or something like that, they could whatever. This is Michigan football.
Gotcha.
Like Michigan football, like the way that beatdown they put on Ohio State last year is going to be up for the national title every year as long as Jim Harbaugh is coaching there. They want to make sure that he's coaching. So I think Michigan is kind of like
everybody. I get it. Yeah.
They're pulling the balls out and like they're like, look here, like go ahead and do so. If you want to do something, go ahead and do it. But with Michigan football, they're like, this is like, come on, like this.
Pulling the balls out.
That soft South Park episode where I think it was Stan or whoever dad had his balls in the wheelbarrow. Like that. That's the. I feel like that's what Michigan's doing right now. They're like, go ahead and do something. Go ahead. We're going to impose this ban. Go ahead and try something. Yeah. Go ahead.
I respect it.
I think the problem is, though, the reason why they might is because he lied during the investigation. That's the only reason I think that they might add another game, maybe 2 at max. And I think it's only because he lied during the investigation. Like, I think, one, the violation, they saved themselves with the whole self-imposed suspension. But if the NCAA, gets in their feelings and they're really upset about the whole lying and tampering with the investigation, I think that's when they could add more. But like you said, it's very unlikely, but it's definitely possible because I think that's probably what they're most upset about is like, you weren't even honest about it. Like you could have just reported, you lied about it, you tampered with the investigation. So, they may try to make an example. I think it's unlikely, but it's possible.
Yeah, it just really feels like, we have the big balls in this situation. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna like they're basically forcing the NCAA go ahead and try something, go ahead and do something, because you already know that if the NCAA tries to tries to be petty, and like, oh, we'll suspend you for the Michigan State game, or we'll suspend you for this. And ESPN and whoever game that's being broadcast on is not going to like that. It's not because Jim Harbaugh, these college coaches are just as big of characters for these teams as the players are. Like, outside of NFL football, maybe like guys like Mike probably Pete Carroll and Tomlin and Andy Reid and, Sean McVay, outside of those guys, college football coaches are the face of the team. They're the face of the program. If you suspend Harbaugh for like some of these Big Ten matchups, that's gonna rub a lot of these networks the wrong way. It just is because they interview him before the game and they talk to him and stuff. If he's suspended, it's not gonna bode well. And they said, from people watching these games, like they were like the Ohio State. If Ryan Day, coach of Ohio State, if he's suspended for the whole season, Ohio State would be fine. Like they got enough. Their talent on that offense is so dynamic. They were like, those guys will be fine. And their defense is really good too. But they're like, those Michigan guys, Michigan is really good because of Jim Harbaugh. He really is there's very few instances, I think, watching college football that you can kind of say the reason why this program is because of this coach. There's sometimes where the recruiting does it by itself. You don't really have to recruit these kids. These guys are just going to come here. These guys are good. They're whatever. Oh, Michigan, they said the reason why Michigan is the way it is, as good as it is now, is because of Jim Harbaugh, which is why I think Michigan and its athletic director and president have kind of done this self-imposed ban already because they don't want to wait for the NCAA to come out with their suspension. They're like, well, we're going to wait week 1, week 2. How long are we going to wait for this? Like, if it comes down week 5, week 6, when we got to play Wisconsin, we got to play Ohio State or we got to play Michigan State or Penn State. Like, that's not going to fly. And it's going to be 3 games. Like, those are going to be big games. Potentially where we not only do we not win but potentially not win the conference, we don't get a spot in the playoff. Now, I'm pretty sure Michigan and its boosters, and then there's a whole, again, the college football politics involved in this. This is, again, I don't think this is the last that we heard of this situation. But I think, again, if this was a smaller school in Division I, maybe they kind of wait for the NCAA to hand down their suspension. Because it's Michigan, if this, like I said, if this happened in Alabama, Georgia, This happened at University of Miami, like Notre Dame, like those schools carry a lot of cachet when it comes to college football. I think Michigan's like, go ahead and try it.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and try it. We got the bigger balls in the situation. Big balls. All right, let's talk about this Ravens Commanders Week 2 observations. It was a good game. Again, Trey, the same thing. Like you said at the beginning, I was like, I'm going to turn this off at halftime, and they kept going back and forth.
Hooked.
And they were down. They were only the Commanders were only down 2 points. I was like, all right, I'm watching the game. I'm watching. This is 11. This is 11 o'clock, and I'm watching this. It's a preseason game. I'm watching this. I thought it was very weird that the Commanders had the entire first unit offense out there for the whole first half. They ended up getting. We saw Terry McLaurin got turf toe. We don't know. They said it's not serious, but turf toe can be one of those things that
lingers
throughout the year. So you got him. He got turf toe. De'Ami Brown, I think, got an injury. I think he's like their third or fourth receiver. I'll say from the defensive side for the Ravens, still some issues. I didn't see Jabba was out there at least. I think I saw Jabba out there as far as a starter. I mean, Adarius Washington was out there as a cornerback, and I think they had Stevens out there as well starting.
Out there.
Safety wise, I'm not sure who else was out there. I don't know if Geno Stone was out. I don't think I saw Stone out.
Geno Worley.
Worley was out. Okay.
Yeah.
Defensive wise, I was mainly looking at Jabba the whole time because I know everybody else is like backup. So I was mainly looking at Jabba the whole time. And he was doing there was a couple spin moves and some stuff like rip moves and stuff like that. He still wasn't really. There were a couple moments where he was actually getting pressure. There were times where he was pushing his guy back into the quarterback and he was getting around or at least breaking up the middle. Travis Jones on the interior line was getting a lot of pressure when he was in there. He was breaking up. He was definitely bringing up that pocket, forcing the quarterback to make a decision. So I did like that. Adarius Washington seemed to be all over the field, cornerback wise. He was playing really well. Brandon Stevens again, right place, just doesn't seem to know what to do with his hands. Like can't turn around in time. There are times where he was getting beat on his routes, like he was getting pushed away. And Kayvon Seymour made a phenomenal play, I think, in the third quarter. He gets his head around and knocks. I mean, that was like you talk about textbook. You talk about putting that on film. Like that was he gets his head around right at the right. If I feel like he turns around quicker, he probably intercepts that ball because I mean it was right there. He just gets his hand around, but he knocks it down. So a phenomenal play for him there. Trenton Simpson, who's apparently been hurt most of camp. He's been dealing with injuries off and on. Looked like it. He missed several tackles out there, especially that one down the sideline, I think, by the backup running back for the Commanders. He should have wrapped him up, but didn't. And I think he scored a touchdown on that play, if I'm not mistaken. I think he scored a touchdown. It was bad. Like, yeah, he really didn't wrap him up. On the offensive side of the ball, quarterback wise, I don't think I saw much. I saw was Tyler Huntley was hurt. Josh Johnson looked okay. Like he didn't look terrible. He looked okay. Made some good throws. They did again the back shoulder throws again. Keith Mitchell finally got some real burn in this game. Man, he hit that sideline. I thought that he is fast.
It's crazy.
He is fast. Like him and Justice Hill might be just like he might. Those two are clearly the fast. Like he is fast. Mm-hmm. He hit that sideline. That man covered 30 yards like it was nothing. Nothing. I was a little concerned when he put his head because of how fast he was running. I was concerned with him running down the sideline and he put his shoulder down. I'm like, dude, you just got run out of bounds. If you're running that fast and that guy is stationary, like you're gonna hurt yourself more than you're gonna hurt him. Like, just if you see him like that, there's nowhere to go. Just step out of bounds. Just step out. But he was phenomenal out there. Tyler Wallace is really really trying to get this spot. Like he's looks like a totally different player out there right now.
Yeah.
I also think it's because they're using him different. They're not using him as a deep threat. Like he's being used in an intermediate passing game. That seems to be where the Roman and them tried to use them as a deep threat, and that's not what he does. Like he seems to be intermediate guy. And he caught a back shoulder pass in the red zone. Like he looks good out there. Tyler Wallace looks like he's again. It's preseason. We say this every year, right? Say this about Prochet the last 2 years. He could be trash in the regular season, but for this last spot, at least a fifth or sixth spot, whatever it's going to be, it looks like it's Tyler Wallace's. O-line was okay. Again, they still had some issues with pass blocking, and pass protection. There was, guys were running around a lot. They didn't have too much time to throw the football. They did pretty well with the run blocking this time. Melvin Gordon, a couple times, looked a little slow out there. Again, if it's up to me and I'm picking between Keaton Mitchell and Melvin Gordon, it's Keaton Mitchell. Like I'm letting Melvin Gordon walk. Like it's not even if like you said, Travis, if Monken is using this kind of scat back formula for his running backs, he's gonna want Keaton Mitchell back there. If Keaton Mitchell hits the practice squad, he's not gonna be here long. He's not. He's gonna be picked up by somebody. Somebody even watch. They're like, yeah, we gonna get him. The Commanders might go get him for real. Like he's gonna get picked up by somebody. And look, he's a Baltimore guy. Like his dad played Anthony Mitchell. For people who don't remember Anthony Mitchell was the safety, or he was a safety by position, but he was on special teams, and it was a blocked field goal against the Titans in the divisional playoff game. We went on our way to our first Super Bowl. He returns it for a touchdown. Anthony Mitchell, that was him. So yeah, keep him here. All in overall, it was again a good hard fought game. I think that if you're a team aspiring for these are the games that you want to see your players play in, right? Because more times than not during the season, these are those games that determine whether you go to the playoffs or not. Every team has these games where if we just defend this series the right way or the wrong way, or we just did this when we were supposed to, if we just did that, we would have won this football game. I think Ray Lewis said it best. A lot of times these games come down to like 5 or 6 plays. That you look back at the film, those 5 or 6 plays are what really turn this football game. And for the streak, considering they won 24 in a row, and Harbaugh said, if you look back, a lot of these games were like this, where they were won by 2 points, won by a point, won by a field goal. Like they were really tight football games. They weren't blowing these guys out. So it's just a testament to this team. And I think their depth and their willingness to win these games. I think we saw a lot more. The offense, I felt like, as far as talent, even the tight end, Volchek or whatever. Yeah, he played well in this game. Kolar had a great catch in over the middle of the field in this game as well. Prochet. I think just either Josina Anderson or Sarah Ellison said on Twitter. It's like I don't think it's him, but it just seems like every bad pass play, it seems to be he's always involved in it. The one especially to the end zone, I ended up being an interception. It was wild because it came up on my phone later. It's like this wild interception in the Commanders Ravens game. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. I was like, he had it in his hands and he bobbled it, and the guy's sitting right there and just pulls it in. I don't really at first I was like, damn it, Prochet, come on. I was like, but looking back at the play, I was like, it was bad pass by Josh Johnson. He waited too long. But he was getting pressure. He couldn't step into the throw because Prochet had the whole back of the end zone open to him. I feel like if Josh Johnson just stepped into that throw, Prochet's wide open for a touchdown. He's wide open.
He wasn't stepping into that.
He wasn't stepping. The guy was coming right at him, so he just kind of flung it up there, and he has to wait for it, jumps out of bounds, and then at the end of the game, same thing. Like this guy was probably the Prochet is at this point he's probably sitting in the shower, just sitting there with the water running over his head, just like just staring at the floor like, why does this keep happening to me? But what did you guys take away from the game? What did you guys like? What do you guys like? What you guys didn't like?
I had a lot of takeaways. I'm gonna try to narrow some of it down, but like we said at the top of the show, that was probably one of the best preseason games I've seen, just as far as production, what we accomplished, as far as what we needed to see, and things like that. I guess I'll start on the offense. As far as our backup QBs, I mean, y'all, I remember you earlier you mentioned, y'all wouldn't mind having Trey Lance, and I'm like, I only think we like it would be nice, but like our backup QBs were kind of balling a little bit.
Josh Johnson, especially in the red zone. Josh Johnson
Yeah,
looks really
like
good.
Johnson didn't have the greatest week 1, but week 2 he balled out. I think everything he threw up in the air was a pretty good pass outside the one we were just talking about with Prochet. But yeah, that's like one of the first takeaways. Our backup QBs play great. I really don't have too much to say negative about what I saw from them. They played really really well. Huntley being hurt, I'm sure he's still going to be there, but they're gonna have a decision obviously between Josh Johnson and Anthony Brown. But they played great, so it's nothing really they did that would have lost them their job in that game. I did take away the wide receivers. I'm not talking about Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers, obviously, he did his thing. He looked phenomenal on that touchdown catch, but he did his thing. But the other wide receivers, nobody shined.
Yeah.
Nobody shined. We didn't.
Outside Wallace, outside of the known guys, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about as far as the guys fighting for a job. Outside of Tylen Wallace, like you said, who's pretty much separated himself from the pack. I did like what I saw from Tariq Black. We didn't even see not in this game. I'm just saying like previously, because Tariq Black, he might have had one catch. I think he had like one catch in this game. So very quiet game. Number 82, is it Ryans?
Mm-hmm.
Ryans didn't no targets. We didn't see him really out there like that.
I saw Bridges out there for a little bit, but I don't think he got any targets either.
Bridges, unfortunately, sprained a ligament in his knee. So they're talking about he's going to be out a couple of weeks. So that means pretty much, it means what it sounds like it means. He's probably going to be done. So yeah, Tylen Wallace, I think in this game he pretty much separated himself from the pack as far as the wide receivers. So, which is a shame because early on I thought we was going to have, week 1 it was a lot of competition. Like the receivers was kind of balling, and you kind of see like Demas. I mean, we just got guys. So I just thought it was going to be kind of a bigger battle, but it didn't look like a lot of guys got opportunities on the wide receiver front. Now on the tight end side, that's going to be interesting situation because obviously we drafted Kohler and we didn't put stock in him. He had a decent game. He did have a drop, a crazy drop in the first quarter that was kind of, you don't want to start your game off like that, but he made up for it. He definitely made up for it. But Volatek, he outshined him in this game. I mean, he got 2 tubs. He looks big as hell out there. Like he's tall as hell. He looks like he's got sure hands, and he's making plays after the catch, even though he don't look like the fastest guy out there. So, we got some great tight end competition in the room. From Andrews, likely, Volatek, and Kohler. So it's gonna be interesting. I'm honestly, this is one of the offseason. I'm gonna be hurt. Like my feelings gonna be hurt in one way or the other. I don't know if it's gonna be from the receivers cut, the running backs
gonna get a little
or the tight end. Like either way, I'm gonna be sick about these decisions that's gonna have to come up in the next week or so. Real quick, I'll just run down the rest of them. Keaton Mitchell, obviously, phenomenal. The speed looks crazy. If we don't keep him on this team, that'll be a real shame. Like we gotta keep him. We cannot let him. We gotta keep him. Just because not only is he fast as hell and electric on offense, but he's also a special teamer. So like between him and Justice Hill, they're invaluable. Like you can't, we can't do anything without those guys. Keaton, you got to keep Mitchell. We got to keep those 4 running backs. We got to figure it out. Justice Hill, fast as hell. He's the fastest and the most healthy he's ever looked. Like him running up the sideline, I think he's averaging like 14 yards a carry or something like that. Something crazy. Every time he touches the ball, he seems like he's breaking one up the sideline. So he's looking great. O-line, like you said, so I didn't really learn too much, about the O-line in this game. They played okay. Probably could see a lot more consistency. The quarterbacks did have a lot of pressure. They had to do a lot of scrambling. So more to see there. On the defensive side of the ball, I've seen kind of more of the same. Wasn't really wild, but I did appreciate the fight that we saw especially with the secondary. The secondary didn't look good, but you can tell that the effort was there. And Adarius Washington, he looked, like you say, he was all over the field. He did obviously stand out to me again. Seymour looked good. There was a couple plays he probably wanted to have back, but he looked decent in that one play, that deep play you were talking about. I jumped up out my seat when he, that turn at the perfect time. I was screaming at my TV, turn it. Every time I feel like he heard me. It was crazy. made the perfect play. So I love seeing that. And on another note, we're getting a lot of our guys back. Rock's back.
Yeah.
Rock's back at practice. Jalen Armour-Davis is back at practice. Somebody else is back too. I can't remember right now. The D-line, not impressed. I mean, I'm still not seeing enough to not be alarmed about what I'm seeing from the defensive line. Ojabo, I'm giving him some grace still, because it's still, his first off season. He's it's probably going to take him a while to get his legs under him. He is getting some power. In some cases, it's just not really that consistent. I think he just needs some better off the line moves, to be honest. Like, I'm just not seeing anything that I've been impressed by. So I still want to see more from that D line on the pressure front. You mentioned Trenton Simpson. He missed a bad tackle. That's one of the tackles where if he was just kind of like free agent, he would be gone. But we drafted him. They're probably going to show him some grace. I did see a play that was promising from him. So I'm still holding out hope for him. He did look good on a couple plays where I seen like, okay, that was a good tackle, but he got to do better on that one tackle. But we all get one. Caillou, Blue Kelly, he
need work.
he
needs some work.
He needs a lot of work. Was that him on the hold? That wasn't him on the hold. That was somebody else. The hold.
Yeah. No, that was the one. Yeah. There was that one play.
Was that him too?
That was Mayfield.
Mayfield. Okay. Yeah, there was that one play. Kelly was. I don't know who the wide receiver was for the Commanders, but Kelly was all the way in the end zone. He came back and the ball, he was right there, bam, wide open. I was like, man,
it was bad. And also, but he made that phenomenal play on that 2
at the end. He came back.
That's the type of ball instincts pause that you want to see from your DB. So I did like that, but he got to do a little bit better job. And we already talked about Prochet, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse. We already know what's up with that. I mean, I'll say it's still 50-50, 50% on the QB. Got to get that ball out a little bit earlier. And Prochet, it hit him in the hands. I mean, it hit him almost damn near in the hands and the stomach. It's still a blunder on his part. And even if you don't catch the ball, you got to do something else. Like, you can't just let, he just kind of carried himself out of bounds. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Overall, like I said, it was a phenomenal game. I like what I saw. But I'm glad that we're getting some pieces back in the secondary, because I'm still not thrilled at what I've seen. I mean, they're pretty much doing what they wanted. Granted, Terry McLaurin was playing damn near the whole first half, but you got to do better than that. And that goes for Brandon Stevens too, who just can't get right now in the preseason. I don't know what it is, because he didn't play this bad really in the regular season.
No, he didn't.
So I don't know what's going on with him, but hopefully he gets that together. But I give the Ravens a solid B in this game. Like, they did their thing. I mean, they were hustling. In the offense, I would probably say like a A-, just from who was out there. Like, I like what I saw.
Yeah, I'm gonna just go real quick through it. Prochet, he is the human version of the Madden curse, like y'all said. Everything bad happens
to him.
So, Offensively, offensive line. I was really shocked at like how many different variations the offensive line I saw. I think I saw Falafel out at left tackle. I saw Ben Cleveland at right tackle. Um, it was just a lot of movement around. I think we're trying to establish depth, and we don't have a clue where guys are going to play, like those backups.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting. Wide receivers, Tylen Wallace is wide receiver number 6. I'm just going to book it right there.
Yeah.
The rest of the guys, Demas probably be a practice squad player. Tariq Black probably be on the practice squad. Everybody else probably going to find a new home. I kind of feel like that about the entire Ravens team. We're going to see a lot of people who played with us on preseason that are going to land on other teams. I'm looking at Anthony Brown. Anthony Brown has shown himself to be a third string quarterback for another team. It just won't be this team. So I think he's shown that ability. I think you're going to see Melvin Gordon land with another team. He showed that he can be a backup, but he's just too slow for what we want to do. And I feel like that about the wide receivers. I'm going to jump to defense. Simpson is not ready. He's not ready. I think the injuries definitely played a factor, but he's just not ready. Queen, your job is safe. You'll probably get that extension pickup now.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, Simpson's not ready. But I see the athleticism, but you see the inexperience. You see the fact that he's been out, the rust, all of that. Ojabo. I think I'm tempering my expectations, and he just needs more time. Like you said, Trey, like this guy had nothing last year. He just came in on a random game at the end of the season, played well, and then the season's over. He needs time. So I don't think he's a bust at all. I think it's just way too soon. I mean, the guy played one game, so he needs time. So week 8, I'm going to start giving him an actual eval. I think he's going to need half this season to get going. So I just got to temper my expectations, and maybe the Ravens are too. Maybe that's why they brought in Clowney, because we're just going to have to temper those expectations with Ojabo. He just needs time. I won't temper them for Oweh, but that's another topic for another podcast in 3 weeks. Travis Jones looks good. I think we just don't have a lot of depth on the defensive line. I'm not seeing anybody outside of Travis Jones that isn't starting playing well. Urban, I didn't see a lot of push from him. If I jump back to the linebackers, I don't think our depth is too great there. I think John Ross has taken a major step back from last year.
He was supposed to be like that dark horse last year, and now it's like nowhere to be found.
I haven't even heard his name this year.
Yeah, I've only just seen him get beat in practice. DBs, Darius Washington, lock him up, number 3 cornerback, put him at that nickel right now. I think he's playing phenomenal, out of this world, and I love his mentality. I'm very concerned with our depth at cornerback, like we said. Kelly is going – I have a suspicion he's going to end up on a practice squad and could get snatched up. I think it'll be kind of like Chris Gentry when the Patriots snatched him up, because he's just not ready. But we also have so many DBs, like the guy from the Lions. He has the hyphenated name. Was it Houston Carter?
Houston Carter. Okay.
Yeah, like he played a lot. I think I saw Jeff. I think Jeff Zierbeck said he played every snap on defense, or something crazy. It was like a crazy. Yeah, so like he's in there playing. You got Darby's in there. Jalen Armour-Davis coming back. Rock coming back. Marlon will be back in about 5 weeks, hopefully. So where does Kelly fit in? He fits on the practice squad. And he's going to get snatched up, which is going to also be a stain with EDC, but that's neither here nor there right now. But I'm very concerned. I'm also concerned that I haven't seen a lot of good things from Geno or Worley. Like the consistency hasn't been there. And this is a big year for Geno. This is a big year for him, like under the radar. I think he's a free agent next year. So this is a proven show year for him. So overall, I love the fight from everyone. I think we're just going to see a lot of guys that is going to end up on other squads. It's going to be hard to keep. Is it Volashek, Volkanek, whatever? He's going to end up on another team.
Volkanek.
Yeah. he's going to end up on another team. We're
Yeah.
not going to be able to keep him on a practice squad. And I think that's just going to be the theme all the way around. Like, I mean, I think James Prochet is going to end up somewhere else. I think there's Demas is the possibility, Tariq Black's a possibility, Ryan's a possibility. These guys have played well in different spurts. They just haven't played well enough to make this team.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, those are my thoughts. I think it was a great effort. I like what I saw from some people, not a lot from the rest, but yeah.
Yeah, I think like what Corey said about people already calling him a bust, and I've been hearing it on the radio and some local news and stuff because we haven't seen him flash at all. Like we've been looking at him, but we're waiting. They were sitting there kind of waiting for it the whole game the last 2 weeks, and I haven't seen anything. He's sitting there like can't get past his guy, can't move past him. Haven't really seen anything like we saw in that Bengals game, right in the playoff game. Like we saw when he got in there immediately, like he was making that move. And I think you're right, Travis, in the sense that maybe we need to temper our expectations about Ajabo because, and also this other fact too, he was playing on a line that's probably not going to be That's definitely not going to be starting next to him. Like Broderick Washington was not out there. Who's the other guy I'm thinking of? The defensive tackle. That we want to keep. I can't remember his name right now. Broderick Washington and Matabuke. Clowney's not out there. Tyus Bowser isn't out there. Roquan's not out there. Patrick Queen's not out there. So he doesn't have the unit he's going to necessarily be around those other guys on that line. However, with the expectation we want him to be, expecting to be like you should be able to win your one-on-ones. There were a few times during that night he got double teamed. I saw a few times during that game he got double teamed. The hope is that if Clowney and all those guys are out there and playing to what they're expected to play, he'll have several one-on-one opportunities. And like you said with Owe, if he is what he is at this point, I think Trey, we were talking like we were on the group text. And all the almost sacks we saw in that game, I'm like, I know Trey's over there. He's throwing stuff at the window. It's like he's almost sacks, man. There were so many almost sacks in that game.
Like, you said last night, yeah. I'm about to say last night with so many almost sacks. I don't know what that was. They was doing that just to give me a heart attack.
Yeah, like that last drive where it's like they had 3 opportunities on. I think that court. Like, why just bring them down? Like, what the hell is going on?
And those are the different makers that we're talking about that decide if you're going to win or lose a game. It's literally a game of inches, man. Like
those impacts, man. So that's why I'm hoping, like you said, Travis. I think mid-season, full speed. Everything's live. Like, okay, let's see what you got. And hopefully you and Owe can work some things and stuff, but they're going to have to be able to beat their one-on-ones. They're going to have to. Roquan and them are going to have to be able to Roquan and Patrick Queen. I'm hoping they don't have to blitz as much. I think we saw during the game, they were blitzing a lot. They were blitzing a lot of all-out blitzes. They were blitzing all-out blitzes, man, during the end of that game. And it was just like, I hope this isn't going to be a trend going into the season. Y'all can't keep doing this. You're gonna get burned every time. You're lucky it's preseason, but in a regular season playoff, like you're gonna get burned doing this all the time. Like you can't keep blitzing. You're gonna have to get your guys in the front are gonna have to get pressure. Again, it's there's a short week this week, right? So today's Wednesday. They got probably a rest day or a walkthrough tomorrow, and then I think they got a game Saturday. Against the Buccaneers. So I don't expect any. I don't really. Maybe the corners will play just because those guys need the reps they can get. If I don't know if Rocky is playing, I don't think Armour Davis is going to play because they just got back. So you'll probably see Washington out there again. You'll probably see Blue Kelly out there again. Ojabo, I think at this point they're going to keep him out there as much as possible to continue to get reps. And work on his one-on-ones.
Harbaugh left the door open for Lamar. He said Lamar. He said Lamar wants to play. So
Lamar ain't even wearing a jersey out there. Like the last 2 games, this game and this past one, Lamar's been in a tank top.
No, they warmed up though.
He warmed up, yeah, but he been in a tank top.
Took it off when the game started. Yeah,
he been in a tank top.
Yeah,
Lamar ain't playing. Lamar got his gold chain. He got the chain on. He's like Lamar and his bucket. Yeah, I ain't playing.
Yeah, he good. He good.
Yeah, I can't hear the warm. He ain't playing. I'm not playing him in this game.
I don't want to see him on the field at all.
Right before week
Right.
1, that would be you talking about dumb. You talking about you gonna play your star quarterback a week before the season start? Yeah, but get out of here, man.
Put him out there to let him hand the ball off twice. That's cool, but
just to see him out there. Yeah. They're not even playing here. They're gonna be playing Tampa Bay, I think, right? They're not even playing here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, or they might be playing here. I don't know.
I don't know where they're playing at.
Yeah, this is a game that's definitely gonna be like a whole bunch of guys that are just trying to make the squad at this point. Any guy that's dealing with I don't think Keaton Mitchell's gonna probably play this game.
He just had a stinger, by the way, too.
Yeah, so. I saw
we dodged the bullet with that for sure.
So you'll probably see some more guys, but you said same thing, Travis, said about Geno Stone. Like there's a lot of guys we saw the last 2 years that flashed during preseason we haven't really seen. Now I don't know. That's more of McDonald's all defense now, how it's structured or whatever, but they're trying to play guys at nickel more. Trying to figure out if they can substitute at nickel if they need an opportunity. I wouldn't be surprised if EDC goes out there and maybe signs another cornerback at this point. They're going to need them when it comes to making spots for this team. Being cornerback right now or any defensive back is probably your best bet to make this Ravens team right now, just because they don't really know what the situation is going to be. Like once Marlon gets back and then Rocky is going to be playing during the year. And, if they continue to play the whole year, because it's going to be a thing where, yeah, he's back now, but if he gets out week 4, week 5, and he's out for another 3 weeks, you're right back to square one again, right? So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to make another move. So the guys are getting cut. They're going to look at making trades for players that, we got a guy in a rookie that we're willing to move on with, so we'll trade this dude or let this guy go or whatever and see what goes from there. But I'm probably not going to watch this game. I may catch the highlights if there are any, because I just don't anticipate really at this point seeing. By the time they get to this game, I think Harbaugh and them have made their decisions on who's the 53-man roster is going to be, and we'll look forward to the season.
They might as well put Crochet out of his misery, man.
Just do it.
Oh man,
I feel like Trey, you're gonna post that picture of him with the
into the shed.
He's agreeing. I feel like you're gonna post that picture of him with the kid. I was like, yeah.
Oh
like,
man,
yeah, this is that kid's like, he ain't want to see you, man. You're not the one he wanted to see. He's like, it's okay, man. I know you. He's like, I don't want to see. I have a Lamar Jackson jersey on. I ain't want to see you.
Yeah,
I wanted to see number 8.
Bad to tell that what Lamar, man.
It's like, come on, I don't want to see. Who are you? He's like, kid, who are you?
I think that was the curse right there, yo. Honestly,
as soon as Trey commented on that post and got like was
downhill
9,000 likes on that post, something crazy like that. I'm like, that man done.
Damn near 10,000 likes.
That man done. That's a curse.
It's bad. I feel bad for him, but I really do hope that he bounces back because
goes on somewhere. Yeah,
he's had a crazy year all alone, losing his mom and having a camp like he's been having. Like nothing is going right for him, but I'm sure he'll bounce back at some point, some way, somehow, and figure it out. He's just going.
The last 2 years, he's been phenomenal. I think a lot of it as Ravens fans, we realized like it was because of Roman. Like Roman didn't know how to use any of these guys.
Yeah.
But it just seems like, with Wallace the way he's playing right now, it just you kind of got to give him that spot, man. Like,
he's earned it.
You got to give him that spot, man. Yeah. So, is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we close it out?
I got nothing left today.
Okay.
I think we covered it for the most part.
We'd like you guys for listening and watching, and Ravens got one more game until the real season begins. So, also good luck to everybody on your drafts, your fantasy drafts coming up. Hey, man, that's my son right there. Good luck in your fantasy drafts. I got a couple coming up in the next 10 days. So, look forward to that and get this 53-man roster together and get the season started.
Yes, sir.
So,
let's
thanks
go.
guys for listening to us, and we'll catch you guys next week. Peace.